Report has it that Mohammed Adamu, Nigeria's Inspector General of Police, has remained in office despite the fact that he has attained the statutory age of retirement. Though Adamu was expected to leave office as the nation's police chief on Monday, 1st of February, word is still around that he's still in charge as the President, Muhammad Buhari, is yet to appoint a successor. The controversy has been ongoing. The fact that the presidency is fueling a feeling. So people are feeling like maybe the IGP has been granted extension. And there's another set of people feeling like if the presidency says that they should hand over, to who? Especially considering that we have details that there will be about 13 other people that will be that also need to retire at the same time. So this lacuna, how does it make you feel, Nima, considering that at this country we have major insecurity challenges? I would expect that our president should be on top of everything happening. So what does this make? What signal do you get? What's the feeling that is fueling?
So, no, this rumor is not, baseless. It's just based on the fact that the service chiefs had such extension that, took the entire energy of Nigerians to get them removed, even though we're not getting results, even though due to the extended stay in office. So I would expect that the president has a structure, knowing how tense and how serious the issues of insecurity is around every region now, not particularly in any particular region, but every region in the country now, from kidnapping to banditry to all of that, would want to have stability to know how the structure does. So we have a police act that, gives them a 4-year tenure in office, and the IGP, we even have 60 years in service, 60 years of age, 35 years in service, standard requirement for a person to continue or, retire from office. So we know those details, and would expect that the people around the president would also be aware and be on top of this. So we'll now, just like every corporation, as at Monday, February 1st, the IGP's tenure in office would expire. You would expect that since they will have to appoint based on the Police Act from AIGs and DIGs in office, the 13 that are due to retire also will not even qualify. They don't meet the requirement. Whoever is below, or even I would prefer whoever is next in line to a 4-year tenure, so that we have stability. Whoever is next in line and can actually, due to his records in office, in service, spend 4 years conveniently in office before they are due to retire, is who should qualify and who should be eligible. Let me drop my issues on stability, because when that person, we already know the person. They have records. As a lawyer now, I know those I was called with. I know if there is any requirement, in the years of call, I would know who I'll be looking at. We have records. So they will have those records of those who were appointed at a particular time, who qualifies, who are among the AIGs or DIGs, so there will be no speculations around. You will know who's next in line. That person would have been prepared for everything. So you don't get in office like a story I wanted to take in the paper of the new service chiefs visiting Bonu to keep familiarized with the situation. Which situation are you trying to familiarize with? The one you are in service with. We want stability. We want people thinking.
Okay, so for me, I just want to, we know there's a problem, clearly. There was no information from the police service to the presidency, or the presidency has received the information and hasn't done anything about it. And so this is where we find ourselves. But I would like to understand what happens, what role will the legislative arm of government take when something like this happens? This is not the first time. I remember a few years ago, when I just recently joined this show, there was a talk about a particular person who had held office and had stayed like 3 months overdue his office. And in my own, yes, exactly. He had stayed like 3 months over his period. And Nigerians were asking, what's the next thing to do? And to find that we're still having this conversation now with this person, it just shows that there's a problem in communication, in someone doing their job or not doing their jobs properly. And so what role does another arm of government, the judiciary, also needs to play when something is lacking like this? Because I feel it's quite embarrassing, really.
For me, I think the position of the Inspector General of Police is a very delicate one. and it's not a position that should be, glossed over. And I feel it's highly incompetent for a 7 president not to have made successive plan. You had to wait till the date had expired, and you are still waiting for him to start compiling his handover note, according to the papers this morning. And then we are having speculation that one Ibrahim, is he Zana or something, would likely be up. This is not the time and place for this. I believe that in strive, we all want Nigeria to be better. We all want excellence, and it has to start from leadership. You can't be preaching something different, and if your body language is giving us something different. This is failure of organization. The administration is not organized one bit. There are no two ways about it. This is not the time for somebody to be waiting for the president to come back before we know if he will say go or stay. We should have had a successor getting ready to take over the mantle of leadership immediately. If you wanted an extension, you should have made it clear that there will be an extension so that people sit. We have bandits killing every day. This is a very critical position. It's not something we just wait and, okay, now 3 months.
What happens in the service is that when you now go, they will say, no, there's no AIG in the office now. So we have to get to Abuja for this.
So Nima, here, the challenge I would like us to address, because like everybody said, I agree 100% with the fact that this reeks of incompetence.
Yes.
It's not the first time it's happening. Sadly, you reminded us that the last IGP also was there over time. All the service chiefs were there over time. But yet in the same period, the president had time to go and go to Dara to pledge that he's still loyal to APC, which was what the paper carried, what the president went to do, and it was received by the IGP. But who would check the presidency on these things? Who is responsible? Is it the SGF? Is it the Minister for Interior? Is it the legislature? Like, who is saddled with the responsibility of managing the presidency? So that's what I'm saying.
Checking and balancing.
Not checking and balancing.
So who checks when they don't?
Who checks this? Who would warn the president or punish the president for doing this? That's another one. But who is supposed to support the president? Who's supposed to assist the president? That's the first person I want to.
So you'd expect that, what's his name? The Kwara man, the Gambari, should be the one to help in sourcing who will be next in line, because he's as a kitchen cabinet of the president, is on top of this. He would have dropped the names and those who are qualified. So the president then, goes into their checks and they do whatever check they expect to do of them.
But this is under the responsibility of Gambari.
That I would expect is Gambari's duty. But the appointment of service chiefs, IGP, is solely the president's powers. And that's where we have issues. If it was something, maybe we should now relieve these sensitive offices.
For somebody who has time.
Yes, from the power of fire and fire to the president to the National Assembly, for instance. Maybe just the Red Chamber, the senators, so that they immediately know how, and the law provides how they would select and all of that. We have proper structure, and we will relieve the president of the bothersome, business of.
We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll dig further, and we're bringing one of Nima's learned colleagues and a friend of the family to join us in this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So this is a topic that is very dear to us, and we brought two political analysts, Samshidin Akman, as well as our very own lawyer, barrister, Liborouso Oshoma, to discuss more angles of this. So, Liborous, what is your, let me start with Liborous. What is your first take when when the story broke that the IGP is due for retirement, and there was no person he's handed over to? We have no idea if he's been granted extension or not. What was your first take? What was your first opinion? How did you feel when you heard about that?
Good morning, and thank you. Good morning, Nigerians, and wherever you're watching us from. I felt indifferent because I knew that it was going to be the same thing. Let me quickly take you down memory lane. If you remember, in 2015, Atahiru Jega was to, his tenure expired in 2015, or early 2016, and he wrote a memo to the president informing him of his retirement and that he was not going to seek a second term in office and that he was supposed to proceed on pre-retirement leave. And do you know, until Atahiru Jega left office, the president didn't do anything. The president was silent. It was even after the expiration of his tenure that we now started talking about should we not, and then President appointed, I was in his stead to act. The service chief issue is also very fresh in our memory. And so when the newspapers were talking about the retirement of the IGP, I laughed. I said, maybe these people really do not follow the history and trajectory of Buhari's appointment. He does not do anything. He won't do anything. He sits back until it dawned on the country that there's going to be a lacuna, and then everybody starts talking about it, and maybe at that point we wake up to either extend or appoint somebody else, and then his spokesperson like Dabashew will be very ready to give a speech for it. The people that drafted the service rules, those that drafted the Police Act, and those that drafted the Constitution are not fools. They intended that. They know that definitely you will attend training and then, but they also intend that, it is good for old things to go so that new ones will come in. That is why they are retirement age. You do not live and die in office. But yet, you have a president who is not aware of people appointed under him who are retiring. His last administration, quickly, please. If you remember, the president, people shouted down on the president to change ministers, to change cabinet. They were there till his tenure expired.
But Liborous, before we went on the break, before we went on the break, I asked Nima that who was responsible. But now you're saying that the president, but even if the president isn't aware, who was responsible for, who's supposed to make him aware, who's supposed to compel him to act on this thing, who around him, who in his cabinet is supposed to, who's responsible for this kind of things not to happen again?
Let's not box past the box up at the president's table. Okay. It is for the president to say. There are memos. It's in the news. Every day we are shown how the president is reading newspapers. The first thing is for the IGP to have written a memo. It is not even the Police Service Commission. The IGP to have written a memo to the Police Service Commission informing them of his retirement at so-and-so day, if they are not aware, and then that is supposed to proceed on 1 month terminal leave to the expiration of his tenure.
Yes. Okay.
That memo, we are not aware that it has been written.
It was written. We
are also not aware that the Police Service Commission ought to have met the moment that memo is written and then decide on the next appointment for the president's ratification. So when you have a president who is silent on everything, and then the workers also, or the appointees who also want to remain in office, also will be silent on what they're supposed to do. And so you have ineffectiveness, lobbying, and all sorts. It's unfortunate.
Okay, so Mariam has a question for you.
Yes, I would like to know your opinion. When he came with the service chiefs, what we heard was, the president knows what he's doing. There's a thought process that, he has that helps him to finally determine who is supposed to be in office. So I'm wondering, is there a thought process? Is there a way that he's doing it? Maybe this is a strategy we are not understanding. There's a strategy, that happens for things like that, where it may take some time before you finally appoint someone. Or is it that the president is unaware completely of what is meant or what is supposed to be done?
In 2016, the president said he wished he were younger. That should have told all of us that the president, there are a lot of things wrong with the president that we are not aware of. The president is not, you have, let's assume that everybody around the president is incompetent. And so, even the Nigerians that are speaking, we are told that the president reads newspapers. Also, even if the people around him are incompetent, and I know that he has some competent people around him, who would have been sending him memo? But if the president fails to act on it, will you blame anybody? what you have is a bunch of, incompetent behavior that we keep endorsing day in, day out. We create excuses for it. So, this style of the president is not working for the country. Even if it's his style, he ought to have known by now that it's not working. The service chief, people complain. He said, people came out to defend, their remaining in office, that they have worked so hard. You don't change a winning team, midway. That there is a tactic that the others are not saying. Also, in this case of the police, very soon they will tell you that the police service, the police IG is working so hard. Remember, mind you, the president told us that he has grown so lean when they asked him about insecurity, that he saw the IG and the IG is looking lean. So that means he's working. So that tactic, if every other person in Nigeria, at least 80% of Nigerians are not feeling the tactic. At least it behoves on the president to change his tactics. And not even if that is his best tactic, he should look for a way to ensure that, he evolves a new tactics that will work. This idea of keeping people in office despite the challenges that we are all facing, will not have gone well for him. And another thing he should understand is that at this age, people are not going to remember him for what him and Ijabod did in 1984. People are going to remember him more for what he did now.
Yeah.
And his failure to take decisive decisions when it matters most. You do not, like you said, I do not expect that if an IG, from the day you appointed the IG, you ought to know the day he will retire. Because even the newspapers and the press people will do an expose on his tenure remaining. So you ought to know the day he will retire. Even if you don't know, people, your advisors will know. Your special advisors on security, your national security advisors will know all of these things and will let to inform you seriously. So but when you do not, you know and you do not do anything, or you pretend not to know, then it is the president that has problems and not the people around him.
Let me bring in Shamsuddin. Is Shamsuddin there? Do we have Shamsuddin Akman? I'm not sure I have him there. Bisi,
yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So Bisi has a question. I'd like her to direct it towards you.
Oh, okay, sir. So I hear that the president's inaction right now is a breach of the new Police Act and even the Nigerian Constitution, and he can be taken to court for this. Now, who will be the one, or which authority exactly can take the president to court for this inaction? And how do we...
Well,
okay.
Well, it depends on the angle you look at it from. Okay. The Constitution, the new Police Act says the IG is supposed to serve for 35 years of service or 60 years of age for him to retire. This IG served 35 years as of February 1st, and he is due for retirement. So, but unfortunately, the IG, as of yesterday, January 2nd, was seen in uniform and in his office. Not only in his office, was even in a presidential movement that received and welcomed the president from his hometown, Daura. So that alone is enough a breach of law and order. And the IG is supposed to be the number one, person responsible for keeping law and order in the country. So by his action itself is, of course, a breach of law and order in the country. And the president, seeing him in that uniform, is expected to scold him, even in public, for the world to know that the president is not happy with what he did. So nothing has been done. And the IG even, I don't know whether he's even in the office today. So now the problem is, the new act says the president should call a meeting of police council. And it is in the instance of this police council that the new inspector general should be announced. Okay. They will advise the president that so person And based on the provision in the Act, so person is the right person to be appointed.
Okay, so as it is right now, we don't know who is going to sue the president to court.
Exactly.
We don't know who is going to hold the president accountable for this. And Nima, what's your question? What's your own?
Okay, so my concern is what should we expect? How do we deal with unexpected things happening now with the continuous stay of the IG in office? So, according to the papers this week, we have three DIGs retiring and 10 AIGs retiring. Yeah. That leaves about 5 DIGs in office. If an appointment comes from the AIG side, those 5 DIGs automatically resume retirement leave. What should we expect? Or who would we expect within that framework would be appointed? What I'm saying is because we don't want a situation where nepotism that people are suspecting becomes the order of the day.
Again.
If we know for a fact who is next in line, nobody would be wondering whether it's Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa.
Shamsuddin, please, would you like to take that?
Yeah, you know, the issue is not about the ethnicity of who comes in. The issue is about what the Act says. The president is known to be a respecter of rule of law. And what the Act says is that anybody that should come in as the new Inspector General of Police should have at least 4 more good years remaining in the service.
Good.
So let Mayam bring in a quick question.
Okay, I just want to know if the IG can take, he can go ahead and retire, even though the presidency hasn't made provision for who should take over from him. Is that a possibility?
And can he still be acting as IG, even though he's already passed his tenure?
No. Look. There is regimented order. There is already a regimented order in place. And this regimented order says anybody that attains this age of retirement should automatically hand over to the most senior in the office. And this regimented order is what is expected the Inspector General to apply in this case, even without any communication from the presidency. It is expected that the Inspector General, as he hinted in the last management meeting he had on Monday, that since there is no any communication, everybody should remain calm and let the regimented order be applied.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for
we
need to go on a commercial break, and sadly we need to end this topic, but it's something that we'll still continue to discuss because obviously the president hasn't given us the name of the next IGP based on how challenging our security landscape is. This is not the time to have a lacuna in the police leadership. But while we are waiting for the president, we preach for peace amongst all stakeholders. Stay with us. We'll go on a quick short break. When we return, we'll go into other topics.